How are we doing, YouTube? It's your friendly gamer, SmartEntity here. So today we're going to do quite a relaxed video on the Helicar versus the Glaive Prime. Now the Helicar came out with update 15, along with a truckload of other stuff. And when this weapon came out, I thought, okay, so this is a mastery rank only purpose weapon. There's no need to waste a potato on it. And honestly, a bit of a spoiler alert, I was right. Now, the reason I put a potato in it is because of the traveling utility. So, for the first couple of missions I played, the damage was pretty much what I expected, but the traveling utility really impressed me. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not, significantly better than the Dual Zoran or the Dual Icar. In fact, I would say it's marginally better than the Dual Icar at baseline, but it's far inferior to the Dual Icar once you got Berserker activated on the Dual Icar. So have a look at the build. So we got Gleaming Talon as a stance. That's arguably the best stance for these kind of throwing weapons, hands down. We got Whirlwind for that traveling utility, well, flight speed. So it leaves you faster, it returns you faster, allows you to, throw that again faster. And we got Thundering Strike in there. Now the 90% puncture does provide better absolute damage value versus a dual damage stat mod, i.e. Vicious Frost or Virulent Scourge. Now I've put Spoil Strike in there for the build, but when I play this weapon I actually use Rendering Strike, because Spoil Strike, yes, it gives you better damage numbers, but it does cause a 20% decrease in attack speed. Usually for top tier Dual Icar, Sentinel Prime is worth it, but for this weapon, we're not going to be damaging enemies with this weapon because it's not that good, right? We're going to be using this weapon for traveling, and for that reason, you do not want to have that 20% decrease in attack speed, which will affect traveling. Other than that, Pressure Point and Fury for your base essential mods, Focus Energy, Fever Strike for Corrosive, Molten Impact for Fire, so your standard tower build. Not that you're going to take this weapon to high level tower, but for the purpose of demonstration, we'll use a 290% mods and of course Focus Energy for that electricity, as well as energy efficiency when channeling. Not that we're going to channel, but it's good to have the option to have the energy efficiency when you do choose to channel. So we compare that to the Glaive Prime. So pretty much similar build. Now the Glaive Prime do have the advantage of having Buzzkill, which is a 120% slash bonus versus a 90% puncture bonus that Thundering Strike have. Hopefully with the next event we'll get a 120% puncture bonus to even up the score. Other than that, the build is the same. So again, Spoil Strike for a proper max damage build. But if you are gonna just use this weapon like traveling, like what I do, I usually use Virulent Scourge on there. Yes, Jagged Edge will give you a higher absolute damage value, but currently I do not have Jagged Edge, and having Virulent Scourge on there to increase the corrosive versus heavy gunners in tower, definitely is okay. So all that aside, we'll have a look at Warframe Builder, which is what we usually do for comparison. Now, usually, I talk about total damage, sustained DPS. One thing about these two weapons is the total damage and sustained DPS. Yes, they are good to look at, but they are not as useful as something like the Boulder Prime or the Sentinel Prime. And the reason for that is because, you are throwing these weapons most of the time. And as far as total damage to sustained DPS goes, especially sustained DPS, it depends on how far the enemy is away from you and the layout of the room, right? Depending on if you got a big room or a small room, because that determines on how fast the weapon returns to your hand, i.e. how fast or how frequent you can throw the weapon to do damage. So all that aside, we got the Glaive Prime doing 488 total damage and 644 sustained, and the Helicar doing 473 total and 624 sustained DPS. So overall, it's pretty similar. Glaive Prime have slightly higher damage, but again, Buzzkill definitely give that extra added, help. And of course, Glaive Prime is a Prime, so you expect it to do slightly better than your, everyday market weapon, which is what the Helicar is. But to be honest, as far as gameplay goes, you probably won't notice the difference that much. Of course, I do have Spore Strike in there to show off that difference a bit more. Without Spore Strike, the difference is even less. So for this particular video, we will do a bit of casual gameplay, low-level gameplay on Jupiter. This is an LV assassination, so enemies here are about level 13-ish. LV varies scales depending on your conclave. So I mean, we'll look at the traveling utility. So I mean, I think already you guys can see that this weapon is a weapon they can take to your capture, sabotage, spy, just to go to A to B to C that much faster, versus something like your Sin of Prime, which you definitely do not want to take to those missions, because it just does not offer any added traveling bonus whatsoever. Now, as I was saying, the Helicar is a market weapon. I do not know the mastery rank restriction on it, but if it's not too high, I definitely recommend this weapon as a, I guess, early on weapon, just because it does allow you to, travel from A to B to say that much faster, so allow you to complete a solar map that much faster, and it's quite friendly as well. You put in a potato, you can do a max build, no forma required. And for those people that want an alternative to the Glaive Prime, the Helicar is definitely feasible. It's definitely up there. It's definitely a weapon that you can take to reasonably high level. I wouldn't take it to 60-minute plus survival or defense, but for even T3 tower, it's definitely okay, right? It's not gonna kill enemies that fast. It's not gonna one-shot heavy gunners that fast, but the traveling utility is awesome, and we'll show a bit of that here. So yeah, not every weapon can do that. Sin of Prime can't do that. Most of your, I guess, even things like your Cronus, your Darkra Prime, those type of weapons can't do that. Do Icar, do Zoran, yes, but again, not every weapon can do that. So we're here with LV. We'll just give rid of LV really fast. We'll use this room to show a bit more traveling utility. Okay, that's a bit near, but cool. Flight is always awesome. So we'll hunt Mr. Added V down and just take care of him. Alright, so now we'll have a look at the traveling. Now, coming from someone who's quite literally leveled every single weapon, well, every single melee weapon currently, because I'm leveling the Opticore, but other than the Opticore, a person who's leveled every single weapon to level 30 at least once, I can honestly say the Helicar, as far as traveling, is definitely up there. And again, it's, I would say, better than the Dual Icar at baseline, but not as good as Dual Icar once you got Berserker activated. So yeah, I'm sure you can agree that not every single melee weapon can do this, and even some of the lighter melee weapons don't have as good traveling utility as a Helicar. Alrighty, so we'll just run along here, and I think we'll just jump into some Glaive Prime gameplay. So dying is never fun. Yeah, we'll jump into some Glaive Prime gameplay now. Now, before I do that, one thing I do want to mention is what you're seeing here is basically I've thrown the Helicar and it's going around in circle and circle and circle and circle and circle. And this is actually quite reproducible. So I've done this here, I've done this in the ODA Lephantis room, and the problem with this is once the weapon is flying around like this, you can't melee. You can't even do close hand combat. Obviously you can't throw it because it's not in your hand. And this is a problem if you are trying to use melee to defend yourself. So this is pretty much the only issue I have with this weapon. And just to prove the point, as you can see, I'm equipped in my melee, but both my hands are empty because the Helicar is actually, again, flying in a circular motion. And this will go on and on and on until you obviously end the mission or leave the room or whatnot. Alright, so now we will jump into some Glaive Prime gameplay. So again, we're in the LV assassination room. And as you can see, the traveling utility is pretty up there. It's pretty comparable to the Helicar. And again, probably comparable to the Dual Icars at baseline, but not as good as Dual Icars once you do have Berserker activated. Alrighty, so in conclusion, Glaive Prime versus Helicar, Helicar versus Glaive Prime. Now, both of these weapons do very similar damage. Yes, Glaive Prime is slash, and yes, Helicar is puncture. But I always say, do not worry about that too much. They do matter a bit, but once you do have a max build, the elementals, the elemental combos pretty much more than compensate for, any faction differences. And to be fair, these weapons aren't really made for damage anyway. They're made for traveling, so again, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Other than that, these two weapons are very similar. Now, Glaive Prime obviously is a prime. You need a disc, a BP, 2 blades to make it. The Helicar, you get some resources, buy the blueprint from market, chuck in the foundry, done. And of course, like I was saying, the Glaive Prime have slightly better damage because you got buzzkill. So overall, these two weapons are pretty comparable. So end result, whichever one you want to use, take your pick. Personally, Glaive Prime is a prime. For that reason, I put in a potato. I don't regret it. Cool. Helicar, well, I regret putting a potato in it because, the Glaive Prime is up there. You want a throwing weapon, use Glaive Prime. You want a tough weapon, use a Sinnoh Prime. You want a traveling weapon, use a, Helicar. So I do regret putting the Helicar in there. It's a decent weapon. It's okay for beginners. In fact, it's a weapon I would recommend for beginners. But because there's so many other weapons that are either similar to it, better than it, as far as damage or traveling, I do regret putting a potato in it. But that aside, it's a weapon that is quite good for beginners, and it's a weapon that's quite good for traveling. So put a potato in it or not, up to you. Use it or not, up to you. Alright guys, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.